I have been secretly married to the CEO for 6 whole years. At the company's annual party, his assistant suddenly toasted me. Director Shen, congratulations. The boss's wife just gave birth to a 6-pound, 9-ounce baby girl last week. Both mother and daughter are safe and sound. In the banquet hall of the Emerald Bay Resort Hotel, the champagne tower shimmered with light. Chief Assistant Joe Minting walked over with a glass of red wine, smiling gracefully and appropriately. Director Shen, Mrs. Liu, congratulations. Our CEO's wife just gave birth to a 6-pound, 9-ounce baby girl last week. Both mother and daughter are safe and sound. The entire banquet halls didn't seem to have been muted. My name is Shinji Wan, Chief Legal Officer of Ruihong Technology. I am also my boss Liu Chengyuan's wife of 6 years. In a marriage kept secret. For 6 years, I helped him rise from a startup workshop in a basement garage to the eve of ringing the bell at NASDAQ today. He said it wasn't the right time to go public during the career upswing. And I believed him. He said he would give me the grandest wedding once the company went public. And I believed that too. Now, his assistant, Joe Minting, stood before over 300 employees in the company, smiling as she congratulated me. The Mrs. Liu congratulating another woman for giving birth to his daughter. Liu Chengyuan was standing just 5 meters away. My face turned pale. My lips moved twice, but not a single word came out. I bent down to pick up the shattered glass, and a shard pierced my palm. When blood started oozing out, I didn't even feel the pain. I straightened up and gave Joe Minting a smile even more polished than hers. Thank you, Assistant Joe, for the good news. The annual banquet at Jade Bay was held in the Ocean View Hall, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a vast, dark expanse of sea. Ruihong Technology is about to go public in the United States. This is the last company-wide gathering before the IPO. My husband, who is also my nominal direct supervisor, Liu Chengyuan, is currently standing center stage delivering a speech. A deep blue custom-tailored suit, with a Lang watch on the wrist occasionally catching a glint of light. 5 meters stood between us, separated by subordinates moving about with drinks. And a secret that had been kept for 6 years. As the company's chief legal officer, my seat was always arranged at a distance where he could see me with a glance, yet never raise suspicion. Shin Zawanthi's name may not ring loudly in the tech industry's legal circles, but those in the know would nod slightly at the mention. Over the past 5 years, I had fended off 3 potentially fatal intellectual property lawsuits for Ruihong Technology and led the legal structuring of 2 acquisitions that became case studies among our peers. My colleagues respected me, and were a little afraid of me too. Behind my back, they said I was like a soulless legal machine. President Shen, what are you staring off into space for? The Vice President of Technology sitting next to me, Old Fang, nudged me with his elbow. Mr. Liu has finished speaking. It's time for the management team to go up and toast. I snapped back to attention, picking up the glass of champagne I hadn't touched. Bubbles rose one after another from the bottom of the glass, climbed to the top, and then popped with a soft pft. I looked up at Liu Chengyuan. His gaze landed on me at the same second, cutting through the crowd to find me with pinpoint accuracy. There was a fleeting softness in it, but it was immediately withdrawn and replaced with the face a CEO should have. This was the tacit understanding we had practiced countless times in public. We were only superior and subordinate, only a perfectly in sync pair of partners. That's all. After a few rounds of raffles and games, everyone began to leave their seats, moving around to toast each other. I was just thinking of finding a corner to sit quietly for a while when someone in a deep red strapless long dress approached me directly, holding a glass. Joe Minting, I've been with Liu Chengyuan for 4 years. Beautiful, considerate, flawless, perhaps even more aware of every tiny habit in his work than I am. Director Shen, I'll toast you. Her smile was perfect, without a single flaw. I raised my glass. Assistant Joe, you're being too polite. Several department heads nearby gathered around. Teasing. Is Assistant Joe pouring this drink on behalf of Director Liu to pay tribute to our great hero? Exactly. Director Shen is the company's moat. Joe Minting said nothing. She held the rim of her cup half an inch lower than mine, putting on a thoroughly deferential manner. But her eyes stayed fixed on me without blinking. Then she spoke. The tone was not high, and even had a soft curve to it. But every word felt like a nail driven into the temples. Director Shen. There was a pause. Mrs. Liu. Another pause. Congratulations to you, Mrs. Liu gave birth last week to a healthy baby girl weighing 6 Jin and 9 Liang. And both mother and daughter are reported to be in excellent condition. Mrs. Liu, the wife of Mr. Liu, last week. 1,000 gold. Each word fell heavy and precise. I could feel everyone within 2 or 3 meters of us, centered on the two of us, holding their breath. The expressions on the faces of the colleagues who had been laughing just moments ago froze halfway. A mix of awkwardness, curiosity, and barely concealed schadenfreude. 6 years. 6 years of a hidden marriage. No wedding. No photos together. The marriage certificate locked away in the deepest compartment of his studies safe, for his promise of going public once the company is listed. I transformed from a woman who also wanted to stand in the sunlight holding her lover's hand into a nameless ghost. Now, this secret has been exposed in the most humiliating way possible. I didn't look at Liu Chengyuan's face. I didn't need to see it to know what expression he was wearing. Oh my. Director Shen is so overjoyed he can't speak. Joe Minting slightly tilted her head, feigning surprise. I shouldn't have said that. Such a joyful occasion. Mr. Liu must surely want to share it personally with his most trusted right-hand man. I'm just feeling happy for the real Mrs. Liu. She deliberately emphasized the word real. Crack. The champagne flute in my hand shattered. Cold liquid mixed with blood seeping from between my fingers dripped onto the light-colored carpet beneath my feet, forming a small patch of interwoven red and yellow. I didn't feel any pain. Or perhaps this pain is nothing compared to the entire ruin collapsing in my chest. The sound of the shattering cup brought complete silence to the surrounding people. Mr. Shen, your hand. Old Feng hurriedly handed over a tissue. I didn't take it. I looked up, my gaze cutting through the crowd and landing on Liu Chengyuan. He stood a few steps away, partially blocked by 2 representatives from the partnering companies. His brows were tightly furrowed. He shifted his foot as if to move toward me, but his arm was immediately grabbed by someone beside him, who seemed to be saying something. He could only stand still, sending me signals through the crowd. Calm down. Don't act impulsively. Talk about it later. Calm down. Talk about it later. Something I had guarded for 6 years turned into a laughingstock watched by 300 people in just 30 seconds. He told me to calm down. That brief flash of barely contained triumph on Joe Minting's face flickered and was quickly covered by a look of concern. Director Shen, your hand is bleeding. Shall I accompany you to the infirmary to get it treated? She reached out to help support my arm. I abruptly took half a step back, avoiding any possible contact with her. I am the chief legal officer. My job is to identify risks, quantify losses, and make decisions with the most rational approach. Now, the biggest systemic risk has already exploded. No need to trouble Assistant Joe. My voice was so flat that even I found it unfamiliar. No choking, no trembling. It's just a minor injury. Nothing serious. I curled my still bleeding finger into my fist, digging my nails into my palm. That sharp pain, however, pulled my mind back. I can't collapse here. In everyone's eyes, Shan Jiwan is professional, cold, and unbreakable. They can gossip about me behind my back, pity me or mock me, but they can't see me break. I turned to Joe Minting and forced out a standard, polite smile. Still, I must thank Assistant Joe for bringing the good news. Mr. Liu's family has welcomed a new addition, a joyous occasion indeed. As a member of the company, we're all happy for him. The smile on her face froze for less than a second. She hadn't expected me to react this way. I turned around, facing the colleagues who were still standing in place, and raised my uninjured hand. Everyone, keep going. Don't ruin the mood. Lao Feng. Send me the second instance defense statement for the intellectual property infringement case to my email by 9 a.m. tomorrow. The extreme contrast made the air even more peculiar. Lao Feng nodded blankly. I no longer looked at anyone. I turned and walked toward the heavy door of the B.A. Nquet Hall. Each step was steady. All the gazes behind me were glued to my back, especially Lu Chengyuan's, which burned so hot it made my spine tingle. I didn't look back. Stepping out of the banquet hall, the sea breeze, carrying a cool, salty dampness, rushed over me. I followed the stone path outside the hotel, walking all the way to the far end of the pool, where a row of lounge chairs was shaded by palm trees. No one was there, only the distant sound of waves crashing against the shore. After confirming that no one was around, my knees, tense all night, finally gave way. I leaned against the railing beside me, bent over, and vomited violently. My stomach churned, but nothing came out. Tears finally broke through the last line of defense, falling in large drops onto the stone ground. 6 years. When we first met, all he had left in his pocket was a crumpled business plan and half a credit card. I had just graduated from school and had accepted my first offer from a law firm. With my head full of dreams of becoming the best legal professional in the industry, I helped him build Ruihong Technologies' legal framework from scratch, working around the clock, chewing through contracts, running due diligence, and plugging every loophole. In that office he'd converted from a basement garage. He held my hand and said, "Jiwan, when the company goes public, I'll give you the most glorious wedding in the world." He also said, "You are my only trump card, Lu Chengyuan." Because of these words, I agreed to a secret marriage. I thought it was a sweet sacrifice we were making for our future. I staked all my professional skills, my best years, and my unreserved affection on this man. It was all just my wishful thinking. He had already paved another path for himself. I was merely the scaffolding he used to build his mansion. Once the mansion was completed, the scaffolding was meant to be dismantled. Who is that real Mrs. Lu? Su Wanqing. When was the child conceived? Born last week. Betrayed me at least 10 months ago. What was I doing 10 months ago? Right. At that time, I was in Silicon Valley working on cross-border intellectual property compliance structures for the Polaris project. Sleeping only 3 hours a day for a month and a half. Our only connection was a voice message at 2 in the morning. Finished work for today. Get some rest early. My hands trembling, I pulled out my phone. I dialed his number. He answered before the first ring even finished. "Jiwan. Where are you? Listen to me. Lu Chengyuan. I'm at Pavilion 9 next to the South District swimming pool. I'll give you 20 minutes. If you're not here in 20 minutes, I'll package up our marriage certificate photos and screenshots of all the messages you've sent me over the past 6 years, and send them to all the board members and top 5 investors of Ruihong Technology." Hang up. 17 minutes later, he appeared at the entrance of the pavilion. He had taken off his suit jacket, rolled up his shirt sleeves to the elbows, and had sweat on his forehead. He sat down beside me, reaching out to touch my shoulder. I jumped back half a step. "Jiwan, don't call me by my name. Calm down. It's not what you think." I turned to look at him, and for the first time I looked at the man I'd slept with for 6 years the way I would scrutinize a witness. "Then tell me what it is. Was Joe Minting spreading rumors? Or do you not have another wife in the legal sense? Or maybe the newborn child has absolutely nothing to do with you." Lu Chengyuan. His Adam's apple bobbed once. Silence. This silence was more cruel than any explanation. "Her name is Su Wanqing." He finally spoke, his voice hoarse. "The only daughter of Su Zhenhai, chairman of Hengxing Group." Hengxing Group, the cornerstone investor in Ruihong Technologies' IPO in the United States, and the most critical source of funding for the Polaris project. The last shred of illusion was extinguished. This is not a drunken one-night stand, nor a reckless fling during an emotional void. This is a meticulously calculated business marriage, a blatant exchange of interests. So, to secure Washing's funding and for your North Star project. You married Su Wanqing and even had her give birth to a daughter at such a perfect time. I paused for a second. Lu Chengyuan, what exactly am I to you? A useful tool? A shadow partner to keep your house in order? Or just a former partner who signed a confidentiality agreement and can be discarded at any time? I didn't. I never thought that way. His voice rose sharply. Jiwan, these past 6 years, my feelings for you are real. Shut up. I find your words disgusting. I stood up, looking down at him. One last question. Now, how do you plan to handle this? Handle me. Or handle your missus? Lu. He avoided my gaze, looking down at the ground beneath his feet. Wanqing. She's not in good health. She almost didn't make it through this childbirth and is still in the hospital. The Su family's stance is clear. This investment is crucial for the IPO. Without it, the Polaris project is finished. The Polaris project. The legal framework I built with my own hands. The compliance structure I gnawed through day and night. Now, coming out of his mouth. It had become the rope that bound me. So what you're saying is you want me to keep being Director Shin, acting like I know nothing, while you and your wife and daughter are a happy family of 3, and I keep working myself to the bone to get you listed. Give me a little more time. He stood up, wanting to come closer to me. Once the IPO is settled, I'll confront the Su family and give you a proper place in my life. Money, shares, a house, whatever you want. I can give it to you. Compensation. 6 years for one compensation. I laughed until tears slid down. Lu Chengyuan, do you think I, Shin Jiwan, can't survive without you? Do you think I'll keep enduring for the sake of that promise of yours that's always in the future? Just like I have for the past 6 years. He reached out to wipe my tears. Don't touch me. I stepped back a big step. Divorce. He froze. Go to the office tomorrow to finalize the procedures. Property division. I want 25% of the shares in Ruihong Technology. You're insane. He was almost growling. The company is in the most critical phase of IPO guidance. How would investors react if we split the shares now? It would ruin Ruihong. That's your problem. I met his gaze. You were the one who breached the marriage contract first. I'm simply exercising my rights. Or would you rather I use my position as the company's former chief legal officer, with access to all the core secrets, to compile those less than public data optimization details from the Polaris project into a report and send copies to the SEC, NASDAQ, and the 5 cornerstone investors? His face went red, then pale. He glared at me. My lips trembled twice. Unable to speak. I saw it clearly, the eyes that once told me, "You are my only way out," now revealed not just shock, anger, and resentment, but also a fleeting flash of ruthlessness. The night wind rustled the palm leaves, making a rustling sound. On the way back to the city, we sat in the front and back seats, separated by a whole row of seats. His silence and mine overlapped, more unbearable than any argument. He looked at me 3 times through the rearview mirror. Each time, I faced the car window and gave him a profile with no room for discussion. I didn't go to the office the next morning. I drove to a small 2-bedroom apartment, 78 square meters, on Linha Road in the east of the city. I bought it 5 years ago with my first big bonus. And only my name is on the property deed. Lu Chengyuan doesn't know this place exists. This is the last escape route I've left for myself. The face in the bathroom mirror looks terrible, pale, with dark circles under the eyes. The wound on my right hand has been cleaned, disinfected, and wrapped in gauze. But the eyes are clear. I pulled out my phone and called someone first. Lin Kuei, my college roommate, and now the chief reporter at Prism, a leading financial media outlet. Jiwan, why are you calling so early in the morning? Did something happen? I want a divorce. There was 5 seconds of silence on the other end of the phone. Wait here. I'll be there in 40 minutes. 38 minutes later, she appeared at my front door, holding 2 cups of Americano and a bag of croissants. She glanced at my right hand wrapped in gauze. Without asking a question, She sat down and listened as I began from the start. I recounted everything from beginning to end, without any extra emotion, as if giving a case report to the board of directors. When I reached the part about Joe Minting's words at the banquet, Lin Kuei slammed her coffee cup down on the table. This woman did it on purpose. Of course she did it on purpose, I said. The question is, who is standing behind her? The Su family. I'm not sure, but she's been with Liu Chengyuan for 4 years. There's no way she would drop a bomb like that in front of the whole company on her own. Either Liu Chengyuan instructed her using her to prepare me mentally in advance and force me to back out on my own, or someone from the Su family. Why is using her to test my reaction? Lin Kuei looked at me. What do you need most right now? A lawyer. Do you know Gu Heng? Gu Heng. I thought for a moment. The one from Deed Law Firm. The one who specializes in high-net-worth divorce cases. He handled the Hu family division case last year, a 3 billion yuan case. Clean and tidy. He was my senior in college. I'll help you set up an appointment. Thank you, Anne. Lin Kuei's expression grew 3 parts more serious. Jiwan, how many cards do you have in your hand? I didn't answer immediately. I walked into the bedroom and pulled a stainless steel combination lockbox from the bottom layer of the wardrobe. Opened it. Inside were 3 things. An encrypted USB drive. A stack of paper documents. Sealed in a file folder. A dark red marriage certificate. The USB drive contains backups of all core legal documents from Ruihong Technology since its founding, including the complete compliance files for the North Star project. The paper documents. I took out the top one and handed it to Lin Kuei. She opened it and looked at it for 3 seconds. Then suddenly looked up. This is the registration certificates for the 12 core patents of Ruihong Technology's underlying algorithms. Take a look at the column for the rights holder. She lowered her head to look. Shinjiwan. All of them are under my name. I said. In the early days of the company, there was nothing. When the tech team achieved results that needed patent protection, the company hadn't even set up a basic account yet. All the intellectual property registration procedures were handled by me in my personal name as a placeholder. Later, as the company grew, I brought up transferring the ownership several times. But Liu Chengyuan always said there was no rush and that we should focus on getting the business running first. Dragged on for 6 years. Dragged on for 6 years. Lin Kuei put the documents down and let out a long sigh. Shinjiwan, do you know what these documents in your hands mean? The core technology assets disclosed in Ruihong Technology's prospectus, whose actual rights holder is not the company, but the personal property of the company's chief legal officer. If the SEC finds out about this, the prospectus is suspected of false disclosure, and the IPO will be immediately halted. I closed the briefcase. This is why I said 25 of the shares isn't much. On the 3rd day, I returned to the company. As soon as the elevator doors opened, the receptionist girl gave me a strange look. Her gaze swept over me and quickly shifted away, her lips pressed together as if she was holding back a flood of words. I walked into the legal department as usual. I pushed the door open, and 6 subordinates turned to look at me in unison. The subtle atmosphere in the office said one thing those who needed to know already did. Good morning. I put down my bag, turned on my computer, and went about my day as if it were any ordinary workday. Mr. Shen, Zhao Lin, the head of the legal department, hesitated to speak. Have you finished reviewing the contract for Nancheng Real Estate? Yes. It's in your email. All right. Meeting adjourned. At 9:30, a message popped up in the internal system. It was from the IT department. Dear Director Shen, in accordance with the upgrade of the company's information security management system, your SLEVEL database access will be temporarily adjusted starting at 12:00 today. Relevant materials have been transferred to Deputy Legal Director Zhang Ming for safekeeping. I looked at the line of text on the screen, completely unsurprised. Here it comes. Liu Chengyuan's first move was to cut off my access to the core data. I picked up the landline and dialed Zhang Ming's extension. Zhang Ming, Have you seen the notification about the IT department's permission adjustments? Mr. Shen. I just received it. Should we check with Mr. Liu about this? No need to ask him. Print a copy of the legal documents for the South City real estate, Huaqing Pharmaceuticals, and Polaris project, and deliver them to my office before noon today. This is the normal handover procedure. If anyone asks you, just say it's required for an internal audit by the legal department. Got it. Got it. After hanging up the phone, I leaned back in my chair. The door was knocked on. Before I could say come in, the door was already pushed open. Zhou Minting stood at the doorway. Today, she was wearing a cream-colored suit dress, with light makeup and a gentle smile. Director Shen, Mr. Liu would like you to come to his office. What time? Right now. Reply to him for me. I have 3 contracts to review this morning, and I can do it before 2 p.m. Zhou Minting's smile remained unchanged. Mr. Liu is referring to now. I lifted my head from behind the computer screen to look at her. Assistant Zhou. You've been with Ruihong for 4 years. You should know legal department schedule is not determined by the CEO's office. At 2 p.m., I'll give him my time. She stood still for 2 seconds, turned and left. At 10 past 10. Liu Chengyuan himself appeared at the door of my legal department office. He knocked on the door. This was the first time in 6 years that he had knocked on my office door. Come in. He closed the door and sat down across from me. The two of us separated by a desk. About as far as 6 years of lies. How's your hand? Don't worry about my hand. He paused for a moment. The permission adjustments were done at my request to the IT department. I know. It's not about you. It's a compliance requirement before the listing all core data. Liu Chengyuan. I cut him off. We're both business people. So don't try to fool someone with a legal background by talking about compliance. You took away my access because you're afraid I might use the Polaris project materials to cause trouble. You want to cut off my escape route. He didn't speak. I took an A4 sheet of paper from the drawer and pushed it toward him. He looked down at it. His expression changed. This is the initial draft of the divorce agreement I prepared. The asset division only concerns company shares. All other personal assets remain with each party. 25%. Sign it. And I'll cooperate to complete the remaining IPO counseling period, ensuring a secure transfer of all core data. No way. Then let me phrase it different. Lido, you want to give me 25 of the shares? Or do you want 100 of the IPO to go to zero? Are you threatening me? I'm negotiating with you. I picked up the printed IT notice from the table. You revoked my system access, thinking you could control the information. Liu Chengyuan. Every single core legal document in this company since day one has passed through my hands. Do you really think someone who's been in legal affairs for 6 years wouldn't have made backups for themselves? His fingers tightened around the armrest of the chair. And I pulled up a photo on my phone and turned it to show him. You might have forgotten one thing. On the screen was the cover of a patent registration certificate. Patent holder. Shen Jiwan. The 12 core patents of Ruihong's underlying algorithms are all registered under my personal name. You've always said there's no rush to transfer them. Now indeed. There's no need to rush anymore. Liu Chengyuan stared at that photograph. He felt as if someone had delivered a hard blow to his temples. After a long silence, he spoke 4 words. You won't. Try it. When Liu Chengyuan left my office, a vein on his temple was still pulsing. He didn't say a word. The door closed with 2 degrees more force than usual. I sat alone in my office chair, my hand holding the phone finally beginning to tremble. Not out of fear, but because all the grievances and anger I'd accumulated over 6 years had finally found a precise outlet. At 3 p.m., Gu Heng called. Shen Jiwan. Lin Kuei asked me to get in touch with you. She gave me a general overview of the situation. Hello, Mr. Gu. Would it be convenient to meet and talk? 7 p.m. tonight. Floor 39. Building 3. China World Trade Center. My law firm. I sat in Gu Heng's office at exactly 7 o'clock. He was younger than I had imagined, around 37 or 38, wearing frameless glasses, with a laptop open on the desk and 3 different colored pens. I understand the situation. He got straight to the point. Your marriage to Lu Chengyuan is legally valid, registered for 6 years, with no children. You are a founding member of Ruihong Technology, currently serving as the chief legal officer. And the company is about to go public in the U.S. During the marriage, he registered another marriage with Su Wanqing and had a daughter. This constitutes bigamy. I was taken aback. Bigamy? Your marriage registration came first. And his registration with Su Wanqing came later. If Su Wanqing's registration is also legally recognized rather than a de facto marriage, then he may be suspected of bigamy, which carries criminal liability. I actually hadn't thought of that angle. Those involved cannot see clearly. A person who has worked in legal affairs for 6 years, when facing their own matters, hasn't even clarified the most basic legal relationship. Or perhaps, Gu Heng adjusted his glasses. He and Su Wanqing might not have legally registered. They just lived together publicly as a married couple. I'm not sure. Zhou Minting's exact words were Mrs. Lu, but that phrasing doesn't necessarily imply legal registration. This is the first fact we need to verify. Gu Heng wrote a line in his notebook. The second matter, you said the core patent is under your name. 12 items. All were registered during the company's first 2 years. Held in my name as a nominee, with ownership never transferred. This is your biggest bargaining chip, but also a double-edged sword. What do you mean? If the opposing party's lawyer is smart enough, they will argue that these patents constitute service inventions. Although registered under your personal name, they were actually created during your performance of job duties, and thus ownership should belong to the company. But at that time, I wasn't an employee of Ruihong. I said. The patent was registered during the company's early stages, when Ruihong hadn't even obtained its business license yet. The technical team developed the technology under their personal names, and I registered it on their behalf. Strictly speaking, my formal employment relationship with the company was established only after the patent was registered. Gu Hong stopped writing and looked at me. Did you sign any proxy holding agreements back then? No. Lu Chengyuan thought it was too much trouble, saying we were all family and didn't need to go through all that. Gu Hong leaned back in his chair. Xin Jiwan, do you know how good the cards in your hand are? That's exactly why I came to you. I need to confirm one thing. Did you come to me to get a divorce? Or to go to war? All of them. All right. He closed his laptop. Starting tomorrow, you need to do 3 things. First, go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to retrieve the marriage registration records of Lu Chengyuan and Su Wanqing, and confirm whether there is a legal registration. Second, lock the complete set of registration materials and original payment receipts for the 12 patents into a third-party safe deposit box independent of the company. Third, he looked at me. From now on, record every conversation in the company that involves Lu Chengyuan. The next day, the investigator arranged by Gu Hong sent back a message. The marriage registration record of Lu Chengyuan and Su Wanqing does not exist. At least, no legal registration information could be found in the domestic civil affairs system. Didn't they get married? I stood in a coffee shop downstairs from the office building, holding my phone. Gu Heng said on the phone, there are 2 possibilities. First, they indeed did not go through the legal marriage registration. The Su family might be waiting until after the IPO to complete it, or they might handle it through overseas registration. Second, he used other information, but this possibility is very low. So, legally speaking, he and Su Wanqing are not currently husband and wife. Correct. But this does not affect your divorce claim or your property division request. During the marriage, he maintained a long-term improper relationship with a third party and had children. As the non-fault party, you can claim a larger share in the property division. How much more can I claim? The court has discretionary power, but considering your actual contribution to the company, the extent of the other party's fault, and the patents you hold as leverage at 25% is not an unrealistic figure. After hanging up the phone, I returned to the company. In the elevator, I ran into Hien, the deputy director of the marketing department. When she saw me, a fleeting, uneasy expression crossed her face. "Good morning, Mr. Shen." "Morning. About the dinner party the other night." What about it?" She was silenced by my calmness. "No, it's fine." The elevator arrived at the floor of the legal department. The moment the doors opened, I saw a stranger standing at the end of the hallway. A woman in her early 30s, dressed in a well-tailored beige trench coat, her long hair tied up, wearing a necklace that didn't show any brand but looked expensive at first glance. Standing beside her was Joe Minting. The two were talking. When she saw me come out, Joe Minting's face lit up with that standard smile I had already begun to dislike. "Director Shen, you're just in time. Let me introduce you. This is Miss Su Wanqing." Ms. Su Wanqing, she herself, standing in the corridor of my company. Su Wanqing turned around to look at me. She was younger than I had imagined. Around 26 or 27. Her makeup was delicate but not flashy, and there was a relaxed elegance in her demeanor, the kind that comes from being raised in a good family. She spoke first. "Hello, Director Shen. I've heard a lot about you." She reached out her hand. I didn't take it. "Miss Su, what brings you to Ruihong?" My tone was as if I were receiving an ordinary visiting client. Su Wanqing paused, her hand in the air for a second, then naturally withdrew it. Without appearing embarrassed, Cheng Yuan asked me to come to the company to check on the progress of preparations before the IPO. After all, Huasheng is also a cornerstone investor. And my father asked me to pay more attention. "Cheng Yuan," she called him Cheng Yuan, in front of me. Joe Minting added from the side. "Miss Su may be coming to the company frequently in the future. So Mr. Liu has specially arranged a VIP office for her on the 28th floor. Oh. I looked at Joe Minting. The use of a VIP office requires approval from the administration department and a security assessment from the legal department. Has this process been completed? Joe Minting's smile faltered for a moment. This was directly arranged by Mr. Liu. I drafted the visitor management system for Ruihong Technology. No matter who arranged it, the procedures must be followed. Could you please, Assistant Joe, complete the necessary formalities? I turned to Su Wanqing. Ms. Su, before the procedures are completed, the company has a dedicated visitor reception room on the second floor, third room to the left, with coffee and refreshments available. After saying that, I walked past the two of them, pushed open the door to the legal department, and went inside. Behind me, Su Wanqing and Joe Minting exchanged some kind of expression. I didn't care. After sitting down, I sent a message to Gu Heng. Su Wanqing herself has come to the company. Gu Hong replied instantly. Pay attention to the recording. Avoid direct confrontation. Let her make the first move. 2 hours later, my office phone rang. It was Su Wanqing's voice. Director Shen. Sorry to interrupt your work. I've already asked Joe Minting to process the procedures for the visitor reception room. Actually, I came here to talk to you about something privately. Is that okay? How about having lunch together? I have a meeting at lunchtime. Then how about afternoon tea? 3 p.m. You choose the place. I remained silent for 3 seconds. The coffee shop downstairs from the company. 3 o'clock. I arrived at the coffee shop 2 minutes before 3. Su Wanqing was already seated by the window, with 2 lattes on the table in front of her. I ordered it for you in advance. Heard you drink oat milk. She even found out what kind of coffee I drink. I sat down, not touching the coffee. Ms. Su, what would you like to talk about? She crossed her hands on the table, leaning slightly forward. There was no aggression in her expression. Instead, it carried a kind of almost candid gentleness. Director Shen. I know what you're thinking. You think I'm here to assert my dominance or to provoke you, aren't you? No. I'm here to negotiate with you. What conditions? My father asked me to convey a message. She took a craft paper envelope from her bag and pushed it over. This is a compensation plan drafted by Huasheng Group. 20 million in cash, plus a property in Hangzhou, with a total value of about 35 million. What to exchange? Exchange for your divorce agreement with Lu Chengyuan, and the transfer of ownership of those 12 patents in your hands. After saying this, she looked at me, waiting for my reaction. 35 million. The Su family is generous with their money, but they put a price on my 6 years of hard work in my entire career. 35 million. Miss Su, do you know what the estimated valuation of Rui Hang Technology is before its upcoming IPO? The prospectus sets it at $1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. That's over 10 billion renminbi. The 25 equity stake I'm asking for, based on this valuation, would be around 3 billion renminbi. You're offering 35 million to buy out a stake worth over 3 billion. That's not going to happen. Su Wanqing's expression remained largely unchanged. Mr. Shen, your request for 25 will not be approved whether through private agreements or legal action. Lu Chengyuan won't agree, and my father won't allow such a thing to happen. Why? Because once you hold 25% of the equity, you become the second largest shareholder of Rui Hang. The Su family will not allow an uncontrollable variable to appear in the equity structure. That's your problem. Su Wanqing sighed softly. Director Shen, I came here with sincerity. 35 million is the first round offer, and it's negotiable. But the ownership of the patent rights is non-negotiable. Either you voluntarily transfer them, or we proceed with legal action to claim them as a work-for-hire invention. My father has already hired a team from Shengda law firm. Shengda, one of the top 5 law firms globally. The Su family intends to crush me with money. Miss Su, I stood up and pushed the envelope back untouched. Go back and tell your father 3 things. First, 35 million can't buy me. Not even 300 million can. Second, those 12 patents are my legally registered personal property. I'm ready to face any lawsuit, no matter who brings it. 30, you'd better find out exactly what legal relationship you have with Lu Chengyuan, because as far as I know, you don't even have a marriage certificate. Su Wanqing's fingers tightened slightly, then quickly relaxed. Director Shen, you don't want to make things too ugly. It wasn't me who started the ugly business. I've heard about you from Chengyuan. He said you're the most rational person he's ever met. A rational person should know going against the Su family is not a wise choice. I'm not going against the Su family. I looked down at her. I'm taking back what belongs to me. After leaving the coffee shop, I directly sent the recording file to Gu Heng. 15 minutes later, he called back. The audio quality is good. Su Wanqing personally admitted that group was involved in this matter. This is crucial. Additionally, she mentioned Shengda law firm, which indicates that the other side has already begun assembling a legal team. What's their strategy? It's clearly pursuing 2 parallel lines. One line involves using money to pressure you, continuously raising the price until you accept. The other line involves legal action to claim patent ownership, attempting to strip you of your key leverage. Can they succeed? The patent part. Their chances of winning aren't high. The timing of your registration was before the employment contract was signed. That's a hard fact. But they can drag it out. Once the lawsuit begins, Rui Hang's IPO process will get entangled. The SEC is very sensitive to intellectual property disputes, so the Su family's real goal isn't to win the lawsuit, but to use the threat of litigation to force me into submission. Right. They're betting you don't want mutual destruction. They bet wrong. Gu Heng fell silent on the other end of the phone for a few seconds. Shin Jiwan, I need to confirm once more, what is your bottom line? Divorce. 25% of the equity, and my reputation cleared. What if we ultimately can't secure 25%? Then Rui Hang Technology won't be able to go public. Gu Heng didn't say anything else. After a while, he said, I understand. I'll start drafting the formal divorce lawsuit. That evening, I received a message from Lu Chengyuan. I was unaware that Su Wanqing came to the company today. I didn't reply. Another message. Ji-won, can you give me a chance to explain in person? No reply. Third. We can discuss the patent matter, but using this to threaten the company's IPO won't benefit you either. You also hold equity in the company. I replied to this one. How much equity do I have? Lu Chengyuan. I've been at Ruehong for 6 years. And you gave me 3% in options. 3%. According to the terms of the bet you promised the Su family. They will hold 15% after the IPO. You personally hold 42%. I have 3%. Over these 6 years, the lawsuits I've shielded you from, the mergers and acquisitions I've completed, the compliance systems I've built, are they worth just 3%? Do you think I should keep pretending with you for that 3%? This time, it was his turn not to reply. The next morning, Ruehong Technology held its monthly management meeting. I attended as usual, sitting in the third seat on the left side of the long table. Lu Chengyuan sat at the head of the table. His expression unreadable, but I noticed an extra chair to his right. Su Wanqing was sitting in that chair. All the management in the meeting room saw the scene at the same time. Several people exchanged glances with each other. The technical vice president, Lao Feng, looked somewhat uneasy. Others displayed various expressions, but no one spoke. Today's regular meeting will include an additional agenda item, Lu Chengyuan said. As a cornerstone investor, Hengxing Group hopes to conduct a comprehensive due diligence on the company's core business before the IPO. Ms. Su Wanqing will serve as Hengxing's representative and will be stationed on-site for the next 2 weeks. Please cooperate accordingly across all departments. The meeting room fell silent for 3 seconds. He Yen, the deputy director of marketing, whispered, "Welcome, Miss Su." Su Wanqing nodded slightly in acknowledgement. Then her gaze swept over me. Light, fast, but I caught it. "Let me add," I said, my voice not loud but audible to everyone. The investor's due diligence can only access the company's core data after signing a confidentiality agreement. The legal department will issue the standard NDA document this afternoon. Please have Ms. Su sign it before arranging data access. This is a perfectly routine legal procedure. Boo. In the current context, everyone caught a different undertone. Lu Chengyuan glanced at me. Let the legal department handle it. All right. I looked down at the meeting materials in front of me. Expressionless. But I noticed Su Wanqing's fingers pinch the fabric of her skirt beneath the table. After the meeting, Lao Feng stopped me. "Mr. Shen, are you okay?" "I'm fine." That's Su Wanqing. The investor representative is conducting due diligence. Normal procedure. Old Feng looked at me, as if wanting to say something, but swallowed it back. All right. As long as you know what you're doing. He patted my shoulder and walked away. I returned to the office and closed the door. There was a message from Lin Kuei on my phone. "Are you free today? I have something important to show you." I replied. Evening. At 8:30 p.m. I arrived at Lin Kuei's place. When she opened the door, she was holding a stack of printed documents in her hand. "Sit down and take a look." I take it. It's an internal project report from Ruehong Technology, dated 3 months ago. Title: Polaris Project Phase 3 Technical Architecture and Compliance Review Report. I flip through a couple of pages and stop. The person who signed this report is Su Wanqing, said Lin Kuei. I carefully reviewed the contents of the report. The framework structure, core clause design, risk assessment model all were built by me. Even the document format is in the layout style I'm used to. But the signatory has changed to Su Wanqing. Where did this document come from? A mid-level employee from Ruehong approached our media to leak the information. He wasn't there to leak it. He came to ask if we could help find a deleted old version of the document. He said that 3 months ago. The signatory of this report in the system was still you. But it was later changed in the back end. I leaned back against the sofa and closed my eyes for a moment. So Lu Chengyuan didn't just betray our marriage. He also stole my work achievements. He took the compliance framework I had spent over half a year building. credited it to Su Wanqing, and used it to curry favor with the Su family. Do you know it's late? I'm fine. Your face is so pale. And you still say you're fine. I opened my eyes. Kuwei, could you keep the original files of this material for me? Including the screenshots of the old documents provided by the middle management and the logs of the system modification records. Already saved. Encrypted. One more thing, could you look into Su Wanqing's background? What exactly is her role within Huasheng Group? Does she have any professional background in law or compliance? You suspect she can't even understand this report. I'm certain she can't understand it. The cross-hedging risk assessment model used in this report was developed by my graduate advisors team. There are no more than 20 people in the entire industry who use this model. If Su Wanqing could really write something like this, she shouldn't just be a decorative investor representative assigned to the role. Lin Kuwei looked at me. Your expression right now is exactly the same as when you get a case you're sure to win. Evidence is the most important weapon. He stole my work and put someone else's name on a tile. Make him pay for that. How do we do it? You'll know when the time comes. I stood up, ready to leave. Jiwan, Lin Kuwei called out to me. Have you ever thought that Zhou Minting publicly saying those things at the annual meeting might not just be the Su family pulling the strings behind the scenes? Do you mean, if the Su family wanted you gone, they had 100 quieter ways to do it? They chose the most high-profile, humiliating way to expose it publicly. It's more like forcing you to lose your composure on the spot, making you make a mistake yourself, and then using your outburst as an excuse to push you out of the company. Do you think Lu Chengyuan ordered it? Hard to say, but think about it. If you had broken down and made a scene on the spot, he could have used personal reasons to put you on leave, then gracefully taken over everything in your hands. Your patents, your data, your connections. By the time you came to your senses, you'd have nothing left. I stood at the door and thought for 5 seconds, but I didn't break down. Right, you didn't. So now they're panicking. Chapter 11. At 9 o'clock on Monday morning, a special board meeting for the third quarter of Rui Heng Technology. The agenda was sent out 2 days ago, with only 2 items. Progress report on the listing and review of financial data. I walked into the meeting room 10 minutes before the start and noticed a change in the seating arrangement. My nameplate had been moved to the far end of the long table, the corner farthest from the main seat. I picked up my name card, walked to my original seat, the third one on the left, placed the name card down, and sat. No one said anything. When Lu Chengyuan entered, he glanced at my seat, frowned slightly, but remained silent. The board members gradually arrived. 5 directors. Lu Chengyuan, CFO Qian Liming, External Independent Director Lu Yuanbai, Su Family Representative Su Zhenhai, and a new face. Let me introduce everyone, Lu Chengyuan said. This is lawyer Meng Din, a partner at Shengda Law Firm. Starting today, he will serve as the company's external legal counsel. The pen in my hand paused for a moment. External legal counsel. With a chief legal officer already in the company, hiring an external legal advisor, this is undermining me. Meng Din nodded to me. In his early 40s, wearing a dark suit, his expression so professional it was almost expressionless. Director Shen. Hello. Attorney Meng. The meeting begins. Financial Director Qian Liming spends 20 minutes reporting on the IPO progress and financial data. Everything proceeds normally until he flips to the last page of the PowerPoint. The last item, regarding the confirmation of ownership of the company's core intellectual property. He glanced at Lu Chengyuan. Lu Chengyuan nodded slightly. Upon verification, the company's 12 foundational algorithm patents are currently registered under the personal name of Chief Legal Officer Ms. Xin Jiwan. The legal department must expedite the ownership transfer procedures to ensure the accuracy of the information disclosed in the prospectus. It is recommended to set a final deadline of 15 working days. All eyes in the conference room turned sharply toward me. Independent Director Lu Yuanbai furrowed his brow. Wait a minute, 12 core patents are not under the company's name, Qian Liming said. It's a legacy issue. A proxy arrangement from the early days of the company's founding. Is there an agreement for the proxy holding? There is no written agreement. 2 more wrinkles deepened on Liu Yuanbai's face. Su Zhenhai sat opposite him, a shrewd man in his 60s. Calmly taking a sip of tea, Director Shen, he began, his voice calm and measured. What's your take on this matter? Everyone turned to look at me. I put down my pen. Director Su. The answer to this question is straightforward. These 12 patents were legally applied for and obtained by me under my personal name before Ruihong Technology was officially established. At that time, there was no proxy holding agreement, nor any written document indicating that ownership of these patents should belong to a company that did not yet exist, Qian Liming said. But the technological achievements of these patents were developed by the Ruihong team. The RD team hadn't signed employment contracts with Ruihong at the time, because Ruihong didn't even exist yet. The meeting room fell silent for a few seconds. Meng Dian spoke up. Director Shen is stating a legal fact, but from the perspective of fairness and reasonableness. Attorney Meng, I interrupted him, as a partner at Xingda. You should know better than anyone the law is about facts and evidence, not a sense of fairness or reasonableness. Meng Dian's smile didn't change. Of course. So I suggest both parties sit down and negotiate a solution acceptable to all within the legal framework. I agree to negotiate, I said, but I do not accept the 15 working day deadline. The patent rights are significant personal property rights of mine and cannot be unilaterally subjected to a transfer deadline set by the company's board of directors. This is not a legal process. It is overstepping authority, Liu Yuanbai said. Director Shen makes a valid point. This matter should not be handled by setting a deadline at the board meeting. Su Zhenhai set down his teacup and glanced at Liu Chengyuan. Liu Chengyuan tapped his fingers lightly on the table twice. Then let lawyer Meng and Director Shen negotiate privatel. Why? Develop a plan and submit it to the board for review. All right, I said. The meeting disbanded. As I was gathering my things, Su Zhenhai passed by me and paused for a moment. Director Shen, please come over to Huasheng when you have time. This was not an invitation, it was a warning. I looked up at him. Mr. Su, please don't trouble yourself. Once the negotiation proposal is finalized, we'll naturally meet. He gave an and left. I was the last to leave the conference room. Just as I reached the door, my phone vibrated. Du Hang. Send me the recording from earlier. Chapter 12. Meng Dian invited me to meet him the next afternoon in the small conference room on the 29th floor of Ruihong. He came with only one assistant, and a stack of documents was spread out on the table. I came by myself. Director Shen, let me share my suggestions first. He pushed over a draft of the intellectual property ownership confirmation and transfer agreement. I flipped through it quickly. Key terms. Xinjiwan will transfer 12 patents to Ruihong Technology free of charge. As consideration, the company paid Xinjiwan a technical service fee of 15 million renminbi. Free transfer. A technical service fee of 15 million. From 35 million down to 15 million. It seems the Su family's bidding strategy is to offer lower prices as time goes on. Mr. Meng, do you think I'd sign this? I don't think so. But it's a starting point. Then let me show you my starting point. I took a document out of my bag and pushed it in front of him. He opened it and looked for 30 seconds. His brow twitched slightly. This is a document I had Gu Heng prepare. Title: Legal Memorandum on Alleged False Disclosure of Intellectual Property Information in Ruihong Technologies IPO Prospectus. The content is brief, with the core message in one paragraph. Ruihong Technology lists 12 core algorithm patents as company assets in its prospectus. But the actual rights holder is employee Xinjiwan personally. If the SEC determines this fact constitutes material omission or false disclosure, the company may face IPO suspension, fines, and lawsuits from investors. This memorandum has only been seen by me and my lawyer. I said, but my lawyer told me that, if needed, It can be on the SEC's desk within 48 hours. Meng Din closed the file. Director Shen. You're threatening the company. I'm protecting my legitimate rights and interests. These two things are not contradictory. You're a company shareholder too. If the IPO is suspended, your own equity value will also become 0. 3%. I said. 3% stock options. With 2 years remaining out of a 4-year vesting period, even if we go public, I'd only get 5%. I can afford the loss. What do you want? 25% equity, not options. But actual common stock, plus the divorce agreement. And one more thing, the authorship of the Polaris Project Phase 3 report is to be restored to me. Meng Din slowly leaned back in his chair. Director Shen. The terms you've proposed will not be accepted by President Liu. The Su family will not accept them either. Then let them not accept it. I stood up. Attorney Meng. Let me add one more thing. As a partner at Xingda, it's perfectly justified for you to take on this case and earn your legal fees. But you should make a judgment. What are the odds of winning this battle for your client against me? If the chances aren't great, the longer this drags on, the more uncertain Ruihang's IPO becomes. In the end, the one who suffers the most isn't your client. He remained silent. He called out to me just as I reached the door. Director Shen. I turned around. General Manager Liu asked me to relay a message to you. What message? He said never meant to hurt you. I stood at the door and looked at him for 2 seconds. Reply for me. He already has. Back in the office, I noticed something extra on my desk. A pale pink gift bag. Inside was a silk scarf. From Hermes. There was a card attached. There was only one line of text on it, written in neat handwriting. Ji-Wan. I hope we can be friends. Wan Qing. I put the scarf and the card together into the wastebasket. Chapter 13. The next morning, Liu Chengyuan blocked me in the parking lot. His car was parked next to my spot, and he leaned against the hood, waiting. Ji-Wan. At work. Call me Director Shen. You're pushing too hard. It's you who's pushing too hard. Sending Meng Din to negotiate with me. Having Su Wanqing bring me gifts. Are you negotiating or putting on a show? He took a step closer. Some members of the board are already discussing whether personnel adjustments are needed in the legal department. Who's discussing? Qian Liming or Su Zhenhai. If you keep this up, they'll take action. You've been at the company for 6 years. You should know that once the board passes a personnel resolution, I alone can't stop it. You can't stop it. Or you don't want to. His Adam's apple bobbed. Ji-Wan. I'm helping you. You're helping yourself. You're afraid the patent issue will blow up and ruin the IPO. So you need me to cooperate. You came to me not because you care about me, but because you need me to quietly sign and hand over my cards. Do you have to assume the worst in everything? It's you who've made everything turn out the worst. I pressed the car door open. Move aside. He didn't move. What if I say 15%? 15% equity. Plus the restoration of authorship you mentioned. I'll cooperate with the divorce proceedings. 15%. He was giving in, but it wasn't enough. 20. Ji-Wan. 20. Not a penny less. Plus the restoration of the Polaris Project's authorship. A public apology statement. And Zhou Minting's resignation. You're going to fire Zhou Minting. She publicly humiliated me at the annual meeting. Do you think I should continue working with her as a colleague? He looked very displeased. I'll handle Zhou Minting's matter. But 20%. Then there's nothing more to discuss. I got into the car and started the engine. He stood in my rearview mirror for a long time, only turning to leave after I drove out of the parking lot entrance. At 4 o'clock that afternoon, I received an email. The sender was the Director of Human Resources. Subject: Notice regarding the adjustment of the Chief Legal Officer position. The content consists of only 3 lines. By an interim resolution of the Board of Directors, and in light of the need for organizational restructuring prior to the company's listing, Chief Legal Officer Shen Ji-Wan is hereby suspended from exercising all duties and authorities effective immediately. Relevant work will be handled by Deputy Legal Director Zhang Ming. Please complete the handover of duties within 3 business days. Suspension of duties. He made his move. I stared at the email for a full minute. Then I picked up my phone and called Gu Heng. They've made their move. They've suspended me. Expected. This move serves 2 purposes. First, to cut off your power base within the company. And second, to create a fait accompli, paving the way for the board to formally remove you. What should I do? Don't panic. The more anxious they are, the more effective your leverage becomes. Right now, you need to do nothing. What do you mean? Don't resist this decision. Don't cause a scene. Quietly go through the handover process. Let them think you've already given up. And then, at the formal board meeting for the dismissal, lay all the cards on the table at once. When? They will convene a special shareholders meeting within a week. What you need to do is prepare all the evidence within this week. The patent ownership. The tampering with report authorship. Su Wanqing's recording. Anne. He paused for a moment. There's one more thing you might not know. What? My investigator uncovered a piece of information today. 3 months ago, Ruiheng Technology conducted a related party transaction through an offshore company in the Cayman Islands. The amount wasn't large, $8 million US dollars. But the counterparty in this transaction was a wholly owned subsidiary of Huasheng Group. What kind of deal? On paper, it's a technology licensing fee, but based on our preliminary verification, the subject of this technology licensed 3 of the 12 patents under your name. I tightened my grip on the phone. He licensed my patents to the Su family without my authorization. The signatory on the authorization agreement is Zhang Ming, the Deputy General Manager of Legal Affairs, but the approver is Liu Chengyuan. This is forged. Exactly. That's your last ace. Chapter 14. For the next 3 days, I followed Gu Heng's plan and quietly completed the handover of my work. I handed over the documents to Zhang Ming. I packed 2 boxes of personal belongings from the office. I didn't have any conflicts with anyone throughout the entire process. Even when Zhou Minting came to supervise me, moving my things, I only gave her a slight nod. There was a faint hint of smugness on her face, as if watching a play that was finally about to end. The attitude of people in the company toward me shifted from sympathy to avoidance. In the hallway, they avoid me when they see me. The break room falls silent as soon as I walk in. He Yen sent a message on WeChat saying, "Take care, Mr. Shen," and then never spoke again. Old Fong approached me privately once. "Mr. Shen, are you really just leaving like this?" "Leaving? Who said I was leaving?" He looked at me. "Aren't you suspended from duty?" Suspension does not mean resignation. I am still a shareholder of Ruiheng Technology, and I am still Liu Chengyuan's legal wife. As long as these 2 identities have not been legally revoked, I am not going anywhere. He opened his mouth, then finally patted my shoulder and left. On Thursday evening, Gu Heng sent a message. The special shareholders meeting is scheduled for next Monday at 10 a.m. Agenda: review the removal of Chief Legal Officer Shin Jiwan from all positions. I replied. Received. On Friday, I went to a certain place. Not a law firm, not a bank. It was Professor Qian Weiyan's office. My graduate school advisor. Professor Qian is 63 years old and retired from the university last year. But his post-retirement role was particularly special, was appointed as a specially hired advisor to the State Council Securities Regulatory Advisory Committee. In short, he could directly influence major policy decisions of the China Securities Regulatory Commission. Jiwan, sit down. Professor Qian poured me a cup of tea. Professor Qian, I came today to ask your advice on a matter. If a Chinese tech company preparing to list in the U.S. includes false disclosures regarding the ownership of core intellectual property in its prospectus, and its senior executives are suspected of unauthorized patent licensing transactions without the rights holders' consent, could China's cross-border regulatory cooperation mechanism be activated in such a case? Professor Qian glanced at me. Are you talking about your own company? I didn't deny it. He put down his teacup. Ji-won, you were my best student when you were in school. Now that you've come to see me, it's not to ask about legal matters, those you understand better than anyone else. You're here to ask me one thing. What thing? You're here to ask whether I would speak up for you if you submitted these materials to the regulatory authorities. I remained silent for 3 seconds. Yes. Professor Chien stood up, walked to the window, and gazed out at the sky for a while. Ji-won, do you know what I admire most about you? I don't know. You never do anything unprepared. He turned around. Prepare the materials. If the facts are clear and the evidence is solid, I won't interfere, but I won't stand by and do nothing either. Thank you, Teacher Chien. One more thing. He took a business card from the shelf and handed it to me. This person is Han Jiang, co-founder of Tianqi Capital. He came to me last week, saying they're hiring a chief compliance officer. I recommended you. My current status. He doesn't care about your current status. What he cares about is your ability. Talking to him won't do any harm. I took the business card. Apocalypse Capital, the biggest competitor of Sharpwing Technology in the domestic market. Teacher Chien, are you helping me keep a backup plan, or paving the way forward for me? He smiled. A smart person doesn't need others to pave her path. I've just opened a door for you. Whether you walk through it or not is your own decision. Chapter 15. At 9:45 on Monday morning, I stood outside the conference room on the 29th floor of Ruehong Technology. The special shareholders meeting was set to begin at 10 o'clock. I was dressed in black suit pants and a white shirt. No jewelry. No unnecessary accessories. My hair was tied in a low ponytail. Neat and tidy. The wound on my right hand had already healed, leaving a faint scar. Gu Heng stood beside me. Ready. Ready. Materials. I raised the briefcase in my hand. Everything is here. At 9:58, the meeting room door opened. Inside, 7 people were seated. Lu Chengyuan sat in the head seat. To his right were Su Jinhai and Meng Din. To his left were Qian Liming and external independent director Lu Yuanbai. The other 2 were voting proxies representing small shareholders. Su Wanqing didn't come today. Zhou Mi Ting stood in the corner, responsible for taking notes. I walked in. Gu Heng followed me. Everyone's eyes immediately fell on me. Lu Chengyuan's expression changed slightly when he saw Gu Heng. Director Shen, you may bring a lawyer to today's meeting, but the lawyer will not have the right to speak. He's not here to speak, I said. He's here to witness. I sat at the end of the long table. The meeting officially began. Qian Liming read out the agenda. There was only one item: to review the removal of Shen Jiwan from all positions as Chief Legal Officer. Reason: due to organizational restructuring needs, and recently, there has been a severe trust crisis among the company's core management personnel, which is not conducive to advancing the IPO process. The wording is very carefully chosen. No mention of patents. No mention of marriage. Everything is packaged as organizational restructuring and trust crisis. Standard corporate political maneuvering. Everyone, before the vote, I have a few points to clarify. Lu Chengyuan began. First, Director Shen has served the company for 6 years, and her contributions are evident to all. Today's resolution is not a denial of her personal capabilities but is based on considerations for the overall interests of the company. Second, the company will provide Director Shen with the corresponding severance compensation in accordance with labor laws, including the accelerated vesting of stock options. Third, Mr. Lu, I interrupted him. Are you done? He stopped. If you're finished. It's my turn. I opened my briefcase. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, before you cast your votes, I have 3 documents to submit for the board's review. I took out the first document. The first document: proof of ownership for the 12 core algorithm patents of Ruehong Technology. All patents are registered under my name as the rights holder. The company's prospectus listed these patents as corporate assets, which constitutes false disclosure. Lu Yuanbai's expression immediately darkened. I produced the second document. The second document, evidence of authorship tampering in the Polaris Project Phase 3 report. 3 months ago. The authorship of this report in the company's internal system was changed from me to Su Wanqing. The modification was carried out by Zhang Ming, Deputy Director of Legal Affairs, and approved by Liu Chengyuan. A backup of the original system logs is included here. Su Zhenhai's teacup hovered midair. I took out the third document. The third one, and the most important one. I placed the document on the table and pushed it toward the center. 3 months ago. Ruiheng Technology paid an $8 million technology licensing fee to a wholly owned subsidiary of Huasheng Group through the Cayman Islands offshore company Kairos Holdings. The licensed subject matter consists of 3 of the 12 patents under my name. The signatory on the licensing AG agreement is Zhang Ming, and the approver is Liu Chengyuan, but the rights holder for these 3 patents is me. Without my written authorization, no one has the authority to license technology in my name. This transaction constitutes. I looked at Meng Dian, Attorney Meng. As a partner at Xingda, please inform everyone present. What does this constitute? Meng Dian's face showed cracks for the first time. He glanced at Liu Chengyuan. Liu Chengyuan's fingers remained motionless on the tabletop. Falsely claiming authorization from the rights holder and improperly disposing of others' intellectual property rights. I finished speaking for him. This is not a civil dispute. This is a criminal offense. The conference room fell silent for a full 5 seconds. Lu Yuanbai opened the document in front of him and read it page by page. Su Zhenhai set down his teacup. He looked at Liu Chengyuan, but Liu Chengyuan was not looking at anyone. There's one more thing. I stood up. My graduate advisor, Professor Qian Weiwan, currently serves as a special advisor to the State Council's Securities Regulatory Advisory Committee. I have already submitted copies of all the aforementioned materials to Chapter 16. The International Cooperation Department of the China Securities Regulatory Commission, as well as the Cross-Border Regulatory Cooperation Division of the SEC's New York office. My voice was not loud, but every person in the conference room heard it clearly. Liu Chengyuan abruptly raised his head. On that face I had looked at for 6 years, all the composure, dignity, and carefully maintained steadiness shattered completely. You're insane. Su Zhenhai slammed the table. You're going to ruin Ruiheng. I'm not trying to ruin Ruiheng. I looked at him. The one who ruined Ruiheng isn't me. It's someone here who, without my knowledge, stole my patents, forged my authorization, put someone else's name on my work, then humiliated me in front of the entire company of 300 people, and finally kicked me out with a board resolution. Director Su, do you think these are things I should just endure? Su Zhenhai's face turned pale. Lu Yuanbai put down the documents in his hand. I now announce the voting procedure of this special shareholders meeting is suspended. Director Liu Qian grew anxious. Pause. Lu Yuanbai repeated. Until the facts regarding the alleged false disclosure and illegal authorization are clarified, any resolutions concerning personnel changes should not proceed. As an independent director, this is my duty. He turned to Liu Chengyuan. President Liu, you need to provide a formal response to the content in these 3 documents. Before that, I suggest that Director Shen's suspension order be revoked simultaneously. Liu Chengyuan sat in the main seat, his lips pressed into a thin line. 3 seconds. 5 seconds. Agreed. The meeting adjourned. Su Zhenhai glanced at me as he walked out the door. I've seen that look on Ma New York opponents' faces, not anger, but reassessment. He was starting to take me seriously. Meng Dian walked to the door and paused for a moment. Director Shen, I underestimated you. It's not that you underestimated me. It's that your clients have never truly understood me. Du Heng walked out of the building with me. Arriving at the parking lot, he leaned against my car door. What will they do next? The Su family will cut ties immediately. Su Zhenhai has lived for over 60 years. And his greatest skill is jumping ship before it sinks. He will reassess whether his relationship with Liu Chengyuan is worth continuing to invest in. As for Liu Chengyuan, he will come looking for you. Yes. And soon. That evening at 9 o'clock, the doorbell rang. I opened the door. Liu Chengyuan stood at the door of my small apartment, which he had never known about. He had found his way here. How did you find it? Your car has GPS. Did you install a tracker on my car? It was Joe Minting who installed it. I leaned against the doorframe. What else have you had Joe Minting do behind my back? He didn't answer the question. Jiwan, I came to talk to you. What else is there to talk about? 20%. Your name will be restored. I'll cooperate with the divorce procedures. Joe Minting will leave. You withdraw the materials submitted to the SEC. It can't be withdrawn. What? The program is irreversible once initiated. You should know that. His hand clenched tightly, knuckles turning white. Jiwan, what exactly do you want? I've already told you. 25%. Not a penny more. Not a penny less. I can't agree to these terms. The Su family. The Su family's affairs are for you to handle. The one you married. The one you gave birth to. The one you deceived, theory all yours. You submitted the materials to the SEC. Rui Hang's IPO. It has nothing to do with me anymore. He froze. What do you mean? I received an offer this afternoon. Chief Compliance Officer at Tianqi Capital. I've already accepted it. Liu Chengyuan took a step back, leaning against the corridor wall. You're going to Tianqi. Rui Hang's biggest competitor. I'm going to a place that's worth my time. Jiwan, this is your revenge. No. This is damage control. I take a step back. Ready to close the door. One more thing. He looked at me. The GPS on your car, I've removed it. Get all your people out of my life before tomorrow. The next time you try to track my movements in any way, I'll call the police. The door closed. Chapter 17. 3 days later. A piece of news exploded in the financial circle. Prism exclusive. Core patent ownership dispute exposed on the eve of Ruihong Technologies IPO. Prospectus suspected of false disclosure. Byline. Lin Kuei. The report did not mention my name, but insiders could tell what was going on at a glance. That afternoon, Morgan Stanley, the American underwriter for Ruihong Technology, sent an internal email. In light of the recent intellectual property ownership disputes, it is recommended to temporarily suspend the IPO roadshow arrangements and proceed only after the relevant matters are clarified. Liu Chengyuan's calls kept coming one after another. I didn't answer a single one. Joe Minting sent a WeChat message. Director Shen. Mr. Liu would like to meet with you. I blocked her. On the fourth day, the Su family made a move. Su Zhenhai issued an official statement through Huasheng Group. The strategic investment partnership between Huasheng Group and Ruihong Technology will be re-evaluated in accordance with the terms of the agreement. During the evaluation period, Huasheng Group will suspend the disbursement of subsequent investment funds. Payment has been temporarily suspended. The Su family is weaning. That evening, Su Wanqing called me. I hesitated for a second, then answered. Director Shen. Miss Su. The report was your idea. This is not a question. You can think however you like. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a few seconds. I underestimated you. You're the second person to tell me that today. Director Shen. There's no personal grudge between you and me. As for Chengyuan's matter, it was his choice. You're right. It was his choice. And you made yours. You chose a married man and felt perfectly justified letting him put my work under your name. Miss Su. Between you and me, it's no longer just a matter of personal grudges. Then what do you want? I've already gotten it. You. The divorce agreement has already been signed by Liu Chengyuan. This afternoon at 3 p.m. The 25 equity has also been transferred and registered. Everything I wanted. I've got it all. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. You've won. I don't think this is winning. I just stopped losing. After hanging up, I stood on the balcony for a while. On my phone screen was a scanned copy of the confirmation letter sent by Gu Heng. Divorce agreement signed by both parties. Share transfer completed. Industrial and commercial change registration. Polaris project attribution restored. 6 years. It took 6 years to truly understand a person, and less than a month to completely uproot myself from that relationship. Chapter 18. The day after the divorce proceedings were finalized, Lu Chengyuan came to see me. Not at the company. Not at my apartment. It was in the lobby of the office building where I went to complete the onboarding procedures at Tianqi Capital. He was wearing a black coat, and his face showed clear signs of fatigue. Jiwan. I stopped in my tracks. Is there something else? I've come to return your things. He took something out of his coat pocket and handed it to me. It was that dark red marriage certificate. There are still a few of your personal items in the safe. I've had them packed up for you. You can come pick them up whenever it's convenient. Just have it sent to my new address? Okay. He stood there. I knew he still had something to say. You'll do fine at Tianqi. I don't need your blessing, Jiwan. What's between us is over. Go back and deal with your own mess. The Su family has cut off your funds. The IPO is halted. You must be very busy right now. His lips twitched slightly, indistinguishable whether it was a bitter smile or something else. Don't come looking for me again, I said. I turned and stepped into the elevator. In the final second before the elevator doors closed, I saw him still standing motionless in the lobby. Tianqi Capital's office is located in the heart of the CBD, occupying an entire 3 floors. Co-founder Han Zheng personally met me at the elevator lobby. 39 years old, short buzz cut, sports watch, wearing a crewneck sweatshirt. He didn't look like someone in finance at all, more like a tech guy. Shin Jiwan. He shook my hand. Teacher Qian told me a lot about you. Good things or bad things. He said you are the most outstanding student he has ever taught. His exact words were, in my whole life, I've only admired this one. Teacher Qian is too kind. This way. Your office is on the 27th floor. Already set up. He led me through the open plan workspace. Dozens of young faces looked up at me briefly, then went back to their work. Your first task. Han Zheng pushed open the door to a glass-enclosed cubicle, where a laptop and 2 monitors had already been placed inside. Tianqi will launch its share IPO in Q2 next year. I need a chief compliance officer to clear all legal risks before the prospectus is filed. Timeline: 14 months. It's doable. Okay. He turned to leave, then glanced back at me. One more thing, I saw the recent news about your former employer. Someone asked me if I specifically recruited you to undermine the competition. How did you answer? I said he hired her because she's worth the price. It has nothing to do with who her previous employer was. He left. I sat in my new office, gazing at the city skyline outside the window. A different height. A different view. Chapter 19. Tianqi Capital's pace was much faster than Ruihong's. In the first week, I took over 3 investment projects for legal due diligence, each with a stack of documents half a person's height. In the second week, I conducted a comprehensive review of the internal compliance system. At 11 o'clock on the night, I submitted the 30,000-word report. I was still in the office checking the final set of data. Han Zheng pushed the door open, saw the stack of empty coffee cups on my desk, and frowned. Shin Jiwan, you need to change the work habits you brought over from Ruihong. No matter how well the report is written, if you burn yourself out, I'll have to hire someone new. Just the last 3 pages. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Come on. The cafeteria downstairs isn't closed yet. Let me treat you to a bowl of noodles. I didn't move. He directly closed my laptop. Let's go. Only one auntie was left in the cafeteria, still cooking noodles. 2 bowls of plain noodles were served, steaming hot. Han Zheng took a couple of bites and suddenly said, do you know what the biggest difference is between you and those people from Ruihong? What? They do things just to get by. You do things because you won't allow yourself to hand over something flawed. That kind of person is the most terrifying. and also the most likely to burn themselves out. I held the noodles with my chopsticks and didn't speak. So my advice is you don't need to prove you're worthy of this position by pushing yourself to the limit, whether you're worthy or not. Your first report has already made that clear. This is the first time since I arrived at Tianqi that someone has told me, you don't have to prove yourself anymore. During my 6 years at Ruihong, no one ever said those words, including Lu Chengyuan. In my 3rd week on the job, I received a call from Old Fang. Mr. Shen. It's me, Old Fang. Mr. Fang. What's the matter? Mr. Shen. He lowered his voice. I want to leave Ruihong. What's wrong? After you left, the company changed. Lu Chengyuan now meets with the Su family every day. The technical team's budget has been cut by 40, and Phase 4 of the Polaris project has been halted. He's pouring all his money and energy into plugging holes after the IPO was delayed. Investors are pressuring him to exit. So he's borrowing money everywhere, draining the company's cash flow almost completely. Mr. Fang, you've worked at Ruihong for 5 years. I know. That's why I'm not saying this lightly. Mr. Shen, I'm wondering, does Tianqi need anyone? I thought for 3 seconds. Send me your resume. I'll forward it to Han Zheng. But I have one condition. Go ahead. You're welcome to join Tianqi. But if anyone from your technical team wants to come along, tell them one Rulino bringing any of Ruihong's trade secrets. Not a single line of code. Come out clean. Of course. All right. I'll wait for your resume. 2 days later, Fang Daming passed the interview. He left Ruihong with 3 key technical staff members. On the day the news spread, a screenshot of an anonymous industry group chat circulated on social media. Ruihong is finished. The chief legal officer left, taking the patents with him. And the VP of technology left too. What does Lu Chengyuan have left? He's got the Su family's money await. The Su family has also cut off their funding. I didn't participate in spreading these rumors, but I saw them. Chapter 20. A week after Fang Daming joined Tianqi, Lu Chengyuan arrived. He wasn't there to see me. He was there to see Han Zheng. They talked for 2 hours in the meeting room on the 28th floor. I was in my own office on the 27th floor, watching his back as he walked down the corridor through the glass wall. The suit was still the same cut, but his shoulders weren't as straight as before. After the meeting, Han Zheng came to find me. What did Lu Chengyuan come to talk about? Cooperation. Han Zheng leaned against the doorframe. After Ruihong's IPO was delayed, he urgently needs new funding sources. He wants Tianqi to lead his pre-IPO round. What did you tell him? I said I'd think about it. What are you thinking about? Han Zheng looked at me and asked bluntly. If Tianqi invests in Ruihong, do you have any objections? This is a business decision. It shouldn't be influenced by my personal stance. I'm not asking whether it should or shouldn't happen. I'm asking if you have any objections. I thought about it. Han Zheng. You brought me to Tianqi not because of any past conflicts between me and Lu Chengyuan, but because of my professional expertise. If Ruihong's project is worth investing in from a business perspective, then go ahead and invest. But there's one condition. What condition? You must let me conduct the legal due diligence for this project. Han Zheng crossed his arms and watched me for 5 seconds. Then he smiled. You are the most ruthless person I have ever met. Not ruthless. Professional. The due diligence has begun. I brought 3 members of the Tianqi legal team into Ruihong and spent 2 full weeks thoroughly examining the company, whose legal framework I had personally built from the ground up. It was a truly surreal experience, like inspecting the foundation of a house you once designed as an architect. Now stepping into the role of a building inspector, the conclusion was exactly as I had anticipated. There is more than one crack. The financial system managed by Qian Liming developed numerous problems after I left. Several related party transactions were incompletely disclosed. Internal control procedures were merely formalities, And the $8 million technology licensing deal conducted by the Su family through offshore companies has yet to be properly rectified in compliance with regulations. I handed the due diligence report to Han Zheng. Conclusion. Ruiheng Technology currently faces a total of 17 legal and compliance risks across 3 categories. 4 of these are major risks that directly affect its eligibility for listing. My recommendation: postpone the investment and revisit the matter only after they have completed the necessary cleanup. Han Zheng flipped through 2 pages of the report. You didn't show him any mercy. Showing mercy isn't my job. Risk assessment is. Fine. Do it your way. Tianqi rejected Ruiheng's funding request. The same evening the news reached Lu Chengyuan. He sent me a message. Only 4 characters. You're heartless. I replied with 6 characters. You broke off first. Delete conversation. Chapter 21. The news of Tianqi refusing to invest in Ruiheng triggered a chain reaction in the industry. First, 2 investment firms that had been on the fence announced their withdrawal from Ruiheng's pre-IPO round. Then, 2 important clients of Ruiheng separately spread the news that they were re-evaluating the technical cooperation agreement. Within a month, the industry landscape underwent a subtle shift. Tianqi was rising, while Ruiheng was falling. In the 6th week of joining Tianqi, I received an unexpected package. The sender was Zhou Minting. There was only a USB drive in the package. Attached was a handwritten note. Director Shen, this is what I owe you. It contains all the emails and meeting minutes between Lu Chengyuan and the Su family over the past 2 years, including when he started dating Su Wanqing, the terms of the bet proposed by the Su family, and the full story of how I was arranged to make that speech at the annual meeting. The last line of the note was written smaller than the rest. He didn't keep the promises he made to me. I'm not a good person, but I don't want to keep being the only fool anymore. He didn't keep the promises he made to her either. So Zhou Minting was also someone bound by promises. The difference is, she woke up later than I did. I didn't open the USB drive immediately. Instead, I first made a call to Gu Heng. Zhou Minting sent me a USB drive, claiming it contains all the correspondence between Lu Chengyuan and the Su family. First, verify its authenticity. It could be a trap. That's what I thought too. 2 days later, Gu Heng's team completed the identification. Conclusion. The files on the USB drive are genuine. The original email header information is intact. The timestamp is traceable, and the content cross-checks consistently. I spent an entire night going through all the files. Then I knew everything. Lu Chengyuan and Su Wanqing's relationship didn't start 10 months ago, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Ruiheng's Series B financing hit a bottleneck. All investors had significant disagreements over Ruiheng's valuation. Su Zhenhai approached Lu Chengyuan through an intermediary and proposed a condition. Huasheng Group could lead the Series B investment at a high premium, but Lu Chengyuan needed to establish a stable personal relationship with Su Wanqing. Su Zhenhai's original words were clearly stated in the email. I have only one daughter. The person she marries will be the future successor of Huasheng. If Mr. Lu is sincere, let's start as friends, and we can discuss the rest slowly. Lu Chengyuan agreed. 2 years ago, at that time, I was in Tokyo handling a cross-border patent infringement lawsuit. I was out of the country for 3 months, and during those 3 months, he began dating Su Wanqing. What disgusted me even more was that Su Zhenhai explicitly mentioned in the email, I heard Mr. Lu is married. This matter needs to be handled properly. We must not let it affect Wanqing's reputation. Lu Chengyuan's reply consisted of only one sentence. Already being handled. Please rest assured. Director Su. Already being handled. 2 years ago, he had already started dealing with me. I was the obstacle that needed to be properly handled. And during those days, when he called me, he would still say, Jiwan, when you come back, let's go try that new Japanese restaurant. I locked the USB drive in the safe deposit box, placing it alongside those patent certificates. Chapter 22. Su Wanqing contacted me on the third day after Ruihong's IPO was officially announced to be postponed. Director Shen. Do you have some time? I'd like to speak with you in person. Where? You decide. I chose a quiet cafe in the CBD. Su Wanqing had slimmed down noticeably since the last time I saw her. Her makeup was still meticulously applied, but it couldn't conceal the sharper outline of her jawline. She sat down and spoke directly. I came here to apologize to you. What are you apologizing for? The attribution for the North Star project. I tacitly approved it. When Lu Chengyuan brought it to me, I read 2 pages and knew immediately it wasn't something I could have written. But I didn't refuse, because my father told me, if you want to establish your presence at Ruihong, you need achievements you can show off. So you chose to use my achievements to build your own presence. Yes, I was wrong. You think an apology is enough? No. So I came. She took a document out of her bag. This is the complete documentation for the 8 million technology licensing deal between Huasheng Group and Ruihong Technology. It includes internal approval records, fund flow details, and a list of related parties. I took it and flipped through a couple of pages. It matched the information from Joe Minting's USB drive. Why are you giving me this? Because that $8 million technology licensing deal went through a shadow account at Huasheng. The funds ultimately flowed into an offshore trust controlled by my father. She stared straight at me. Last month, my father took a call at home. He thought I was upstairs putting the child to sleep. He said to the person on the other end, don't worry about Wanqing. After she broke up with Lu Chengyuan, she's just a useless pawn. She can't cause any trouble. I'll cover the child support. But she shouldn't even think about touching any of Huasheng's shares again. Her voice was flat, but her fingertips were turning white. A discarded piece. He said it himself. From childhood to adulthood, he arranged my schooling, my job, and my marriage. I thought he at least loved me. Only when I heard that phone call did I realize he's the same kind of person as Lu Chengyuan. The difference is only that one deceives his wife, and the other deceives his daughter. I looked at her for a long time. I'll take this material, but I won't make any promises on your behalf. How it's used, and when it's used, is up to me. Fine, you decide. She stood up. When I got to the door, I looked back and said one more thing. Director Shen, you are better than all of us. The door closed. Chapter 23. I forwarded the materials Su Wanqing gave me to Guheng that same day. 3 days later, Guheng submitted 2 reports. One was sent to the China Securities Regulatory Commission. A report accusing Huasheng Group of allegedly illegally transferring assets through related party transactions. A letter transferring leads to the Economic Investigation Department of the Public Security Organs. Regarding Su Jinhai's suspected money laundering through offshore trusts, the CSRC's response was faster than I had anticipated. Within a week, Group received an official inquiry letter from the regulatory authorities. Su Jinhai was required to cooperate with the investigation. The stock price of Hongxing Group dropped by 12 on the first trading day after the news leak. Ruihong Technology, as an affiliate of Hongxing, was also affected. Investors are demanding that Ruihong issue a statement severing ties, clearly stating that there is no interest transfer relationship between Ruihong and Hongxing Group. But they can't cut the ties, because that 8 million deal was there in black and white, approved by Lu Chengyuan, although the signature was Zhang Ming's. Lu Chengyuan's name was clearly on the approval chain. Ruihong Technology's IPO was officially announced to be postponed indefinitely. The reason given was the company's internal governance structure adjustment requires time. Everyone in the industry knows this is a polite way of putting it. The core patents are not under the company's name. The chief legal officer took the intellectual property and jumped ship to a competitor. The technical VP left with the core team. The cornerstone investor, Huasheng Group, has temporarily suspended funding. 2 major clients have cancelled their cooperation. On the 3rd day after the news spread, Lu Chengyuan posted an update on his social media feed. Only 6 words. As long as you have a clear conscience, That's enough. Not a single comment below. Once. Whenever he posted any status, dozens of people would line up to like it. Now utterly empty. I didn't like or comment. I turned off the entrance to his moments. Chapter 24. The day after the IPO postponement announcement was issued, Su Wanqing broke up with Liu Chengyuan. The public relations team of Huasheng Group released a soft article through industry self-media, stating that the daughter of Su Zhenhai and the CEO of Ruiheng have peacefully parted ways. No mention of children. No mention of marriage. The Su family is cutting ties. Su Zhenhai has been formally placed under investigation by the Economic Crime Division on suspicion of illegally transferring assets. Huasheng Group's stock price fell another 15, and Su Zhenhai was restricted from leaving the country. Su Wanqing moved out of the Su family villa with her daughter and went to a place no one knew. Before she left, she sent me a message. "Thank you. And I'm sorry," I replied with a single character. My workload at Tianqi has been getting increasingly busy. Han Zheng expanded my responsibilities from legal compliance to post-investment management, assigning me to participate in risk assessments for all existing investment projects. In my third month after joining the company, I led an important acquisition for Tianqi, acquiring a startup that made autonomous driving chips. I independently designed the legal structure, from due diligence to closing. It was completed in 52 days. This was my first project that bore the name Xinjiwan entirely. It wasn't done for someone else, and it wasn't signed under someone else's name. It is my own work. Chapter 25. After Liu Chengyuan hesitated for 3 months, Ruiheng Technology was finally acquired by a Shenzhen-based tech group for 180 million renminbi. 5 years ago, during its last round of financing, Ruiheng's valuation was 5 billion renminbi. From 5 billion to 180 million. My 25 equity stake had already been transferred and registered during the divorce. But since Ruiheng's actual value has plummeted to this extent, those shares are no longer worth much. I never expected to get rich from that 25. What I wanted was principal. On the day the acquisition was completed, Liu Chengyuan sent the final notice in the management group. The company has completed the equity change, and I will no longer hold any position at Ruiheng Technology effective immediately. Thank you all for your hard work over the years. Only a few people below replied with "You've worked hard." Most people said not a single word. In the same month that Ruiheng was acquired, Tianqi Capital's a share IPO application materials were officially submitted. Compliance report drafted by Xinjiwan. Legal opinion reviewed by Xinjiwan. Intellectual property ownership confirmation individually cross-verified by Xinjiwan. Not a single loophole. Not a single gray area. This is what I learned over 6 years at Ruiheng. I know how many pitfalls a company will encounter on its path to going public, because I once personally filled those pits for others, and also witnessed firsthand how those same pits buried people. On the 45th day after filing, the CSRC issued the first round of inquiry letters, 37 questions. I led my team to respond to each one over the course of 10 days. The second round of inquiry, 15 questions, done in 8 days. On the day of the listing committee review, I did not go to the exchange in person. I was in my office on the 27th floor of Tianqi, watching the live broadcast on my computer screen. At 3:11 p.m., the review results were announced. Approved. Tianqi Capital's a share listing has been approved. The entire office erupted in cheers. Han Zheng called back from the venue, with applause echoing in the background. "Xinjiwan, did you hear that?" "I heard. Your compliance report was specifically praised by the listing committee's reviewer. They said it's the most complete and professional compliance disclosure document they've seen this year." I held the phone. My fingers weren't trembling, but my eyes felt a bit warm. Not because the apocalypse had launched. It's because this time, the name on the compliance report is Xinjiwan, and no one will secretly change it to something else. Han Zheng. Thank you for giving me a chance back then. It's not that I gave you a chance. You earned it yourself. Chapter 26. After Tianqi went public, the company's market value surged to 12 billion. My options began vesting according to the agreement made when I joined. The first batch of vested shares, calculated at the closing price on the day of listing, was worth 42 million renminbi. This amount is 1.2 times the 35 million renminbi the Su family originally intended to use to buy me out. I didn't share this figure with anyone. I transferred the first sum of money into a newly established company account. The company is called Wani Legal Consulting Company Ltd. I don't plan to work for someone else for the rest of my life. Tianqi is a springboard, not the destination. At Tianqi's first annual meeting after going public, Han Zhang mentioned me in front of all the employees. I want to especially mention one person, our Chief Compliance Officer, Xin Jiwan. The review panel's auditors said our compliance documents were textbook level. The author of that textbook is standing right among you. The entire room burst into applause. I stood among the crowd. I no longer need to hide in anyone's shadow. You don't need to hide your OWN name. That evening, Lao Feng contacted me on WeChat. Mr. Shen. A few of us former Ruihong colleagues started a small group. It's called Mr. Shin Fan Support Group. Would you like to come take a look? I didn't join the group, but I smiled. There was also a message from a number I hadn't contacted in a long time. Lu Chengyuan. Congratulations. You deserve it. I looked at it for 2 seconds. No reply, nor deleted. Let it lie there. Chapter 27. 1 year later. Wani Legal Consulting Company Ltd. Officially opened for business. The first batch of clients were all post-investment companies of Tianqi Capital. Han Zhang helped me with the referrals. In the first month of operation, 7 contracts were signed. 6 months later, my company team had grown from just me to 22 people. People in industry forums started discussing me, and the top-liked post in the comments said, Lu Chengyuan's greatest skill isn't running a company. It's pushing away the most valuable people. I did not take part in any of the discussions. I was busy working. One night, I was working overtime until very late when my phone rang. Han Zhang. Xin Jiwan. Congratulations on your 6-month anniversary of opening. Thank you. Are you free to come out for a meal? No work talk. Just dinner. I thought about it. Okay. Chapter 28. Another 2 years passed. The team at Wani Legal Consulting Company Ltd. expanded to more than 100 people. With offices in Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, its clients included 17 of the top 50 tech companies in China. Caixin did an exclusive interview. The title is Xin Jiwan, a name that needs no prefix. There is a passage in the report. In the field of legal compliance in China's capital market, Xin Jiwan's name no longer needs any prefix. Not former chief legal officer of Ruihong, not compliance head of Tianqi Capital, nor someone's ex-wife. She is simply Xin Jiwan. Written by Lin Kuei. When she showed me this passage, she said, What do you think? Not bad. One spring weekend afternoon, I was tidying up in my office in Shanghai. On the desk lay an old photo one I took a few years ago as a selfie in front of the bathroom mirror of that small apartment. In the photo, my face was pale, with dark circles under my eyes, and my right hand was still wrapped in gauze. I tucked the old photo into the very back of the drawer. I won't throw it away. That evening, I had dinner with Han Zhang. We've been together for almost a year. It's not the kind of passionate whirlwind romance. It's a natural choice made by 2 adults after getting to know and confirm each other. He doesn't let me hide any part of our relationship. Our first group photo was posted on his social media feed. The caption read, Xin Jiwan. My girlfriend. Simple, direct, open and honest. While eating, he suddenly said, I heard something today. What news? Lu Chengyuan seems to be working on a new startup project. Small scale. Related to AI legal services. I paused my hand, which was about to pick up some food. Really? Do you mind? No, I don't. He does his thing. And it has nothing to do with me. He took my hand. Without saying a word. Chapter 29. On my 35th birthday, the people at the company threw me a small party in the office. The candles on the cake were shaped like 35. Old Fong raised his champagne glass and said, "Mr. Shen. 5 years ago, on the day you left Ruihong, I told a few brothers this woman will one day prove everyone wrong. Today, I can say I wasn't mistaken." Everyone laughed. I didn't make a wish when I blew out the candles. After the party, I sat alone in the office for a while. I found a message record from a long time ago on my phone. It's from Lu Changyuan. "Congratulations. You deserve it." I stared at those words, typed 3 characters and then deleted them, typed 2 more characters and deleted them again. Finally, nothing was typed. Exited the chat interface. Han Zhang's message came. "Are you off work yet? I'm waiting for you downstairs. It's your birthday today. No overtime allowed." I turned off the computer and picked up my coat. As I walked to the door, I glanced back at my office one last time. On the wall hung the company's logo, 2 characters. Wani. The bookshelf was filled with industry reports and legal documents. Everything here was earned by my own efforts. Every inch. I turned off the light. The elevator arrived. The door opened. Han Zhang stood in the lobby on the first floor, holding a bouquet of flowers, not a large one, just a small bunch of daisies casually wrapped at a roadside florist. He saw me come out and raised the flowers slightly. "Xin Jiwan. Happy 35th birthday." I took the flowers. We walked out of the building side by side. Outside was an ordinary night. An ordinary street. 2 ordinary people. No spotlights. No crowds watching. No secrets to hide. I walked beside him. Footsteps are light. The wind is just right.